Imagine for a moment that you are standing alone in the middle of a vast, silent desert at midnight. You look up, and your eyes are flooded with the cold diamond light of a billion stars. It is the most beautiful, present thing you have ever seen, or so it seems, because any astrophysicist will tell you a secret that feels more like a ghost story than science. That light you are seeing, that sparkle that feels so immediate, is actually ancient history. Some of those stars died millions of years ago. They imploded, vanished, or turned into black holes long before humanity even learned to walk upright. Yet to your eyes, they are still there, shining down on you. You are not looking at the present. You are looking at a cosmic graveyard. You are interacting with ghosts. Now, hold that feeling of vertigo. Hold that realization that your eyes are deceiving you about what is happening right now. And bring that vision down from the heavens and into your living room. Look at your bank account. Look at the partner sleeping next to you, or the empty space where they used to be. Look at your body in the bathroom mirror. What if I told you that your physical life follows the exact same law as the stars? What if the reality you are touching, tasting, and stressing over today is not the present moment at all, but an echo from the past, a ghost of who you used to be? This is the great deception of the senses. We believe that because we can touch the world, it must be the cause of our experience. But the ancient mystics and the modern quantum theorists are whispering the same uncomfortable truth. The world around you is old news. It is the lagging indicator of a signal you broadcasted weeks, months, or even years ago. You are walking through a museum of your own past thoughts, trying to negotiate with exhibits that have already been curated. And this is exactly why you feel stuck. This is why you feel like you are screaming into a void, pushing against a wall that won't move. You are trying to change the star that has already died. Welcome to the hunt. Today we are not just talking about positive thinking or simple psychology. We are going to dismantle the clockwork of your reality. We are going to explore the mirror principle, but through a lens you might not have used before. We are going to look at it through the eyes of a time traveler. We will walk with the shadows of St. Augustine, who questioned the very nature of time in the stone halls of Hippo, and we will brush against the edges of chaos theory to understand how the invisible storms inside you eventually make landfall in your physical world. We are going to uncover why there is a delay, a painful, confusing, maddening delay between who you become on the inside and what you see on the outside. And more importantly, we are going to hand you the manual for navigating that gap without losing your mind. Because once you understand that you are living in a world of echoes, you stop shouting at the canyon walls and start changing the voice that creates the sound. Let's begin by looking at the mechanism itself. If you stand in front of a glass mirror in your bathroom and you are frowning, you know intellectually that you cannot reach out your hand and physically force the reflection to smile. That would be madness. You would just be smearing your fingerprints on the glass, exhausting yourself while the reflection continues to frown back at you with perfect, mocking accuracy. We all understand this with glass mirrors. It's obvious. The reflection is a slave to the object. It has no free will. It has no initiative, it only echoes. But when we step out of the bathroom and into the three-dimensional movie we call life, we suddenly develop a collective amnesia. We forget the physics of the mirror. We look at a difficult financial situation, a health crisis, or a recurring conflict, and we think this is real, this is solid, this is the problem. And so we attack the reflection. We work harder, we argue louder, we manipulate, we force, we lose sleep. We are essentially scrubbing the glass of the universe, trying to wipe away a frown that is being generated from deep within our own consciousness. This is where the concept of the time lag becomes the most critical key you will ever hold. In the physical mirror, the reflection is instantaneous because the speed of light is, for all human intents and purposes, instant over a distance of 2 feet. You smile, the mirror smiles. Zero lag. But the mirror of reality is not made of glass. It is made of dense, heavy matter. It is a thick, viscous medium. It takes time for the energy of your thoughts, your emotions, and your assumptions to slow down, condense, and freeze into the physical events you experience. Think of a massive ship moving through the ocean. If the captain spins the wheel hard to the starboard side right now, the ship doesn't turn instantly. The momentum of its past direction carries it forward for a long time before the new course takes effect. The wake foaming behind the ship is not a record of where the ship is steering now. It is a record of where the ship was steering 10 minutes ago. Your current life, your job, your house, your relationships, is that wake. It is the foaming, churning aftermath of your past vibrations. Most people look at the wake and say, "Oh no, we are going in the wrong direction." And they get depressed. They get angry. They let the sight of the wake convince them that they haven't turned the wheel at all. And in their panic, they let go of the wheel and go back to the old course. They allow the old news of the physical world to dictate their internal state. This is the trap. This is the loop. This is why history repeats itself. You are letting the dead stars tell you that there is no light, simply because their old light hasn't finished reaching you yet. Saint Augustine, the great philosopher and theologian of the late Roman Empire, wrestled with this in his Confessions. He asked, "What is time?" He realized that the past no longer exists, and the future has not yet happened. The only place reality truly exists is in the distension of the soul, the present moment of awareness. But here is the paradox he stumbled upon. While your soul lives in the present, your body lives in the past consequences of your soul's previous states. Imagine you are a radio tower. For years you have been broadcasting a signal of "I am not enough" or "life is a struggle." That signal traveled out, bounced off the ionosphere of reality, and is now raining down on you as circumstances. Maybe you woke up today and decided to change the signal. You decided to broadcast "I am wealthy" or "I am loved." You feel it. You embody it. You do the work. But then you walk outside to check the mail, and there is a bill you can't pay. The amateur observer says, "See, it didn't work. The principle is a lie." The master time traveler says, "Of course the bill is there. That bill is a letter from my old self. It was mailed 3 weeks ago. It has nothing to do with who I am today." This ability to dissociate your current identity from your current circumstances is not delusion. It is the ultimate sanity. It is the recognition that the present moment is a collision point between two timelines, the fading echo of your history and the rising tide of your new destiny. This is not a passive process. This is not about sitting on a couch and wishing for a Ferrari while the roof leaks. It is about understanding the law of cause and effect on a timeline. The cause is always mental, the effect is always physical. But because we live in a dimension governed by time and space, the effect is always delayed. When you understand this, the texture of your anxiety changes. You stop feeling victimized by the world. You realize that the world has no choice. It is legally bound to show you what you have been doing with your mind. It is a faithful servant, perhaps a bit slow but impeccably honest. If you have been angry and resentful for 5 years, the world cannot suddenly show you peace today just because you meditated for 20 minutes. It has a backlog of anger to process and display. It has to clear the queue. This clearing of the queue is what confuses almost everyone on this path. We treat the universe like a vending machine. Insert coin, get candy. But the universe is more like a garden. If you plant tomato seeds today, you cannot be angry that there is no salad tomorrow. And you certainly cannot be angry that the weeds you planted last month are popping up today. You have to tend the soil of your mind while standing in the harvest of your past mistakes, without eating that harvest and calling it truth. So, the premise we are working with is this. You are living in a time-delayed simulation of your own consciousness. Every interaction you have today is a conversation with a version of yourself that no longer exists. The person who yelled at you in traffic, that's a reflection of your own internal friction from last Tuesday. The opportunity that just fell into your lap, that's the fruit of the hope you cultivated last month. You are a time traveler who is constantly receiving messages from your former self. The question is, how do you live in this gap? How do you maintain a new vibration when the old world is still crumbling around you? How do you keep steering the ship toward the new horizon when the wake behind you still points to the rocks? This requires a new kind of discipline. A discipline not of muscle but of perception. It requires you to become a chaos mathematician of the soul, understanding that a butterfly flapping its wings in the chambers of your heart today will eventually cause a hurricane of blessings on the other side of the world. If you can just hold the frequency long enough for the lag to catch up. The tragedy of the human condition is not that we are powerless. It is that we give up during the lag. We abort the pregnancy of our new life because we cannot see the baby in the first week. We assume nothing is happening because the surface of the soil is undisturbed, while underneath, the seed is cracking open with the violence of new life. To master the mirror principle, you must learn to fall in love with the unseen. You must learn to trust the darkness where the roots are growing more than the sunlight, where the old dead leaves are falling. In the next part of our journey, we are going to open the manual. We are going to break down the specific practical steps to navigate this time lag. We will look at how to handle the purge, the moment when things seem to get worse before they get better. We will distinguish between the action of the desperate drowning man and the action of the swimmer flowing with the current. We are going to turn this philosophy into a weapon you can use on Monday morning. So we have established that you are living in a time machine, navigating a reality that is constantly buffering, loading, and echoing your past. The question that naturally follows, the one that keeps the seeker awake at night, is this: how do you actually steer the ship when the wheel feels disconnected from the rudder? How do you maintain faith in a destination that isn't showing up on the map yet? This brings us to the practical heart of our investigation. We need a manual for the gap. We need a set of protocols for living in the time lag without losing your mind or your momentum. The first principle of this manual is what I call the law of the canyon. Imagine you are standing on the edge of a massive rocky canyon. For 10 years you have been screaming into the void, shouting, "I am a failure, life is hard, I am alone." The physics of the canyon dictate that these sound waves travel out, bounce off the walls, and return to you as an echo. Now today, in this moment of awakening, you decide to change the narrative. You take a deep breath, you center yourself in your new understanding, and you shout with all your might, "I am powerful, I am abundant, I am loved." But here is the trick, the cosmic joke that breaks so many spirits. The moment you finish shouting that new truth, the canyon doesn't immediately shout back, "I am powerful." No. For a few seconds or minutes or even longer, the canyon is still echoing the tail end of your previous shouts. You just screamed, "I am abundant," but the air coming back at your ears is still whispering, "I am alone, alone, alone." Most people, upon hearing the old echo return despite their new effort, collapse. They say, "I did the work, I shouted the new truth, but the reality is still saying I'm alone. Therefore, it doesn't work." They engage in an argument with the echo. They scream at the canyon, "No, I said I'm abundant." But by screaming in frustration, they have inadvertently reverted to the old frequency of lack and struggle. They have reseeded the echo they were trying to escape. The master navigator understands that the old echo is inevitable. It is simply sound waves that haven't finished traveling. You do not argue with an echo. You do not get depressed by an echo. You simply wait for it to fade while continuing to broadcast the new signal. You understand that there is a physical distance between the voice and the return. In your life, this means that when you start a new financial discipline or a new relationship standard, the old bills and the old arguments will still show up for a while. They are the residual noise of a system in transition. Your job is to let them pass through you without reacting, without accepting them as the final truth of who you are. You must let the old sound waves die out. This leads us directly into the second, and perhaps the most dangerous phase of the transformation, the purge. In chaos theory, there is a concept known as a phase transition. When a system moves from one state of order, like ice, to another state of order, like liquid water, the space in between is not orderly. It is chaotic. It is turbulent. The molecules have to break their old bonds before they can form new ones. Applying this to your life, when you begin to radically change your internal frequency, your external reality often gets worse before it gets better. This is the healing crisis of the soul. You might decide to focus on peace and harmony, and suddenly your car breaks down, your partner picks a fight, and you get the flu. Why? Because the new energy you are bringing in is incompatible with the old structures of your life. The chaos is actually the sound of the old structures crumbling to make room for the new architecture. Think of it like renovating a house. If you want to install a beautiful new kitchen, the first thing you have to do is demolition. You have to rip out the old cabinets, tear up the floor, and smash the drywall. If someone walked into your house during that phase, they would say, "My God, you've ruined it. It's a disaster." But you, the architect, know that the mess is proof of progress. The mess means the new kitchen is coming. But in our lives, when the demolition phase hits, when we lose the job that was draining us or the toxic friendship finally explodes, we panic. We try to glue the old cabinets back together. We try to stop the chaos. We don't realize that the bad luck is actually the universe's way of clearing the construction site. This is where you must hold your nerve. You must look at the wreckage of your old life not as a tragedy, but as a necessary excavation. The chaos is the evidence that the signal has been received and the reconfiguration has begun. Now let's address the engine of this change. How do you move through this world of echoes and demolition? This brings us to the critical distinction between forced action and inspired action, viewed through the lens of the butterfly effect. In 1961, the mathematician and meteorologist Edward Lorenz discovered that small changes in the initial conditions of a system could result in vast differences in a later state. This is the famous butterfly effect, the idea that a butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil could set off a tornado in Texas. This is not just a poetic metaphor. It is the mathematics of non-linear systems, and your life is the ultimate non-linear system. Most people operate on Newtonian physics. For every action, there is an equal reaction. They think, if I want a big result, I must use big force. They push, they grind, they lose sleep, they manipulate. This is forced action. It is the action of fear. It is you trying to move the tornado by pushing against the wind with your hands. It is exhausting, and usually, it just gets you killed. Forced action comes from the belief that you are separate from the result and that you must bridge the gap with your own sweat. It is an attempt to compensate for a lack of energetic alignment. Inspired action, on the other hand, operates on chaos theory. It understands that if you change the initial condition, your internal state, your vibration, your belief, you don't need to push the tornado, you just need to be the butterfly. You make a small, precise, aligned movement, and the system rearranges itself around you. How do you know the difference? Forced action feels like a should. I should go to this networking event. I should work 3 extra hours. It feels heavy, like wading through mud. There is friction. Your body contracts. You are essentially fighting the current of your own life, trying to swim upstream to a destination that flows downstream. Inspired action feels like a could. I could call this person. I could write this page. It feels light. It feels like the idea just dropped into your head from a cloud. It has a quality of excitement, or at least a quiet rightness. It doesn't scream, it nudges. And crucially, inspired action is often efficient. It leverages the interconnectedness of things. You make one phone call and it leads to 3 opportunities. You take one small step and a bridge appears. This is the art of Wu Wei in Taoism, effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing nothing against the grain. It means waiting until you feel the wind at your back before you raise the sail. The master of the mirror principle spends 90% of their energy adjusting the sails, the internal state, and only 10% holding the rudder, taking action. The amateur spends 100% of their energy rowing the boat with their bare hands, ignoring the sails altogether. To make this practical, let's introduce the 98-2 rule of the time traveler. In a standard day, you are bombarded with sensory input. The news, your boss, your bank balance, the weather. The average person gives 98% of their attention to these external screens and only 2% to their internal state. They are reacting, reacting, reacting. They are a pinball in a machine bouncing off bumpers they didn't place. We are going to flip the ratio. Your new protocol is to give 98% of your attention to the projector, your internal state, your assumptions, your emotional diet, and only 2% to the screen, the external world. What does this 2% look like? It is the role of the auditor. You look at the external world simply to see what is playing. If you see a conflict, you don't dive into the drama. You step back and note, interesting. My old anger pattern is still playing out on the screen. The echo is still loud. You treat the external world as data, not as command. It is feedback. If the mirror shows you a stain on your shirt, you don't scrub the mirror. You wipe your shirt. If the world shows you poverty, you don't fight the bank. You enrich your mind. Let me give you a concrete exercise to anchor this. We'll call it the labeling of the ghosts. For the next 7 days, every time something negative or frustrating happens, you spill coffee, you get a parking ticket, someone is rude to you, you are going to mentally label that event old news. You are going to visualize that event as a ghost from the past, a dusty letter that arrived late. By labeling it old news, you sever the emotional cord. You stop the feedback loop. You say, I see you, but you are not me. You are who I was. This tiny gap, this moment of recognition, prevents you from planting new seeds of frustration. It stops you from shouting, I am angry, back into the canyon. It allows the old wave to pass without generating a new one. And then, in that space of non-reaction, you pivot. You ask the butterfly question. If I were the person who already had the solution to this, how would I feel right now? You capture that tiny flicker of relief, of confidence, of peace. That is the flap of the butterfly's wing. It seems insignificant in the face of the parking ticket, but in the non-linear mathematics of the universe, that tiny shift in initial conditions has just changed your future timeline. You must become a master of the double vision. You walk through the world seeing the physical forms for what they are, dense, slow, past tense artifacts, while simultaneously seeing the energetic reality overlaying them. You see the empty bank account, but you feel the rushing river of abundance. You see the lonely apartment, but you feel the warmth of companionship. This is not delusion. This is superior physics. This is acknowledging that the blueprint is more real than the building. The building can burn down, but if you have the blueprint, you can rebuild it. If you have the building but lose the blueprint, you are one disaster away from homelessness. Your internal state is the blueprint. Guard it with your life. Do not let the mud of the external world stain the parchment of your mind. When you master this, when you can stand in the middle of a storm and smile because you know the sun is shining above the clouds, you have stopped being a victim of the mirror. You have become the face that commands the reflection. But there is one final, terrifying question that remains. If the world is the mirror and the mind is the projector, who are you? Who is the one watching the movie? Who is the one deciding to change the film? This question takes us to the edge of the known map, into the territory of the soul and the very structure of the cosmos. We arrive now at the final threshold of our hunt. We have dismantled the mechanics of the mirror. We have learned to navigate the time lag and to treat our current reality as a museum of old echoes. But if we stop here, we are merely clever mechanics tinkering with the engine of a car we do not understand. To truly grasp the mirror principle, we must ask the question that terrified the ancients and still haunts the corridors of quantum physics today. If the world is the screen and your mind is the film, then who is the light? Who is the one watching the movie? This is where the ground beneath our feet dissolves. Most of us identify with the film. We think, I am my thoughts. I am my memories. I am my anxieties about the future. But a film cannot watch itself. A film is just a strip of plastic with static images. It requires a light source to project it and a consciousness to perceive it. You are not the film. You are not the thoughts rattling around in your skull. You are the silent, spacious awareness behind the thoughts. You are the light. St. Augustine, in his final contemplations, realized that the human soul possesses a quality he called the distension of the mind. He argued that while the body is trapped in the relentless march of linear time, birth, aging, death, the soul exists in a kind of eternal present. When you remember the past, you are doing it now. When you imagine the future, you are doing it now. The only place you have ever existed is in this precise, razor-thin slice of eternity called now. This means that the part of you that is frustrated by the time lag of the mirror is not your true self. It is your ego. It is the avatar within the simulation that is obsessed with the clock. Your true self, the observer, exists outside of the delay. The observer knows that the result is already guaranteed the moment the intention is set. For the light, there is no distance between the projector and the screen. The delay is only for the audience. Think about the implications of this. If you are the light, and the world is just the shadow play on the wall, then you have been afraid of shadows your entire life. You have been cowering before monsters that you are projecting with your own hand. The poverty, the loneliness, the conflict. These are not external dragons coming to eat you. They are the distorted shapes of your own unexamined beliefs, magnified by the lens of time and thrown onto the canvas of matter. This leads us to the most mind-bending paradox of all. We complain about the time lag. We hate waiting for our manifestations. We scream, why doesn't it happen instantly? But what if the delay is not a curse? What if the delay is the greatest act of mercy the universe ever granted us? Imagine if there were no buffer. Imagine if the mirror principle was instantaneous. Every fleeting fear of a car crash would manifest a collision. Every momentary flash of anger at a loved one would strike them dead. Every doubt about your health would instantly stop your heart. We would not last 5 seconds. We are chaotic, undisciplined storms of thought. If reality reflected us instantly, we would destroy ourselves before we finished our morning coffee. The time lag is a safety mechanism. It is a cosmic cushion. It gives you the grace period to change your mind. It allows you to feel fear without immediately dying. It allows you to think a negative thought, catch it, correct it, and replace it with a positive one before the cement dries. The buffer is the only reason we are still alive to have this conversation. So instead of cursing the wait, you should be thanking it. The time between the seed and the harvest is the time given to you to verify if you really want that fruit. It is the "Are you sure?" dialogue box of reality. When you look at your life today and see the old news of your past mistakes, do not despair. Look at it with the affection of a parent looking at a child's drawing. Say, "I see what I created. It was the best I could do with the consciousness I had then. But I am no longer that person." This brings us to the final responsibility of the awakened hunter. You are now the custodian of your own timeline. You can no longer play the victim. You can no longer say, "The world is doing this to me." You know too much. You know that the world is only doing what you told it to do 3 months ago. You are the author, the director, and the projectionist. If you don't like the movie, stop yelling at the screen. Go up to the projection booth, rewrite the script, change the film, and have the patience to let the new reel load. The ultimate secret of the mirror principle is not that you get what you want. It is that you get who you are. The universe is not a vending machine. It is a biofeedback system. It is designed to show you with ruthless love exactly what frequency you are holding so that you can choose to evolve. It is a machine for waking up gods who have forgotten they are asleep. So as you walk out into the real world after this video, I want you to try something. When you see a problem, a bill, an argument, or a failure, do not contract. Do not shrink. Stand tall in your internal, eternal now. Smile at the illusion. Whisper to yourself, "I see you, ghost. You are the echo of a shout I no longer make." And then turn your face toward the future. Feel the reality you prefer, as if it were already touching your skin, and hold that frequency with the stubborn, irrational joy of someone who knows the punchline before the joke is finished, because the mirror has no choice. It must smile if you do. It just needs a moment to catch up. And that's our hunt for now. A wild mix of documented history, quantum speculation, and tantalizing what-ifs based on bibliographical sources. What do you think? Is the delay a curse or a safety net? If these ideas resonate with you, consider subscribing so we can continue this journey together.